I'm going to start this off by saying that I am not a 100% security professional. I have not been hired to do any pen testing for a company ever. I know how to do a bit of it. I've played with a lot of different tools. I've sniffed out credentials over the wire. I've pulled password hashes and cracked them. I've, cracked even like to open a file's password on like PDFs. I've cracked those with a little bit of guesswork and decent amount of CUDA cores at the time. I've dabbled, but I'm not what you would call like infosec. I can advise on, where a company may want to go with infosec, but I'm just going to give a little bit of a story here to that I don't hear people say that often, and especially in the context that I'm going to give. I don't have a lot of regrets when it comes to how I've operated with the multitude of different people in IT who have hired me, who I've worked for, whether it be contract or full time. I'm usually very upfront, very honest, as much as I can be as far as what I think. But there was one incident that I didn't say what I think. And I had drafted an email to say what I think about a certain situation. I was working for a company years ago, and they had never had a pen test done. And they were growing, and they wanted to see where the low-hanging fruit was. So let's get a decent pen test going. I checked with a couple companies and landed on one that I thought was going to be good. We had different meetings with different companies, and I talked to one that I thought was very good, and they are very good. And even the person that did the pen testing at the time ended up becoming an author, and doing pen tests for him wasn't enough anymore. He was very good, so that was a good decision. But before we even did the pen test, the owner said to me, they better not find anything. And my opinion was they better find something. And I didn't really want to say that because I didn't think that the owner would understand what I was saying. So I drafted this email trying to help them understand why we do want the pen tester to find something. So I'm going to read this email. I changed a few of the details, company names, the pen tester's company name, the company name that I was consulting for and working for. And I'm just going to read it. And there's probably, if an InfoSec individual hears me go through this, there may be some that kind of cringe, that don't like what I'm saying, think what I'm saying is false, and that's fine. This is my opinion. This is my experience with different owners of companies and what they expect to see versus what the reality is. And this doesn't just go, the point that I'll make doesn't just go for security. It goes for many things. And it kind of touches on how we'd like our superiors to feel about situations versus what we know to be true. So here we go. The biggest entities in the world with the best top-tier support teams would have customers believe they cannot be hacked. This includes, but it's not limited to, eBay, Amazon, Google, NASA, Department of Justice, and so on. These are entities with huge budgets and hire straight out of prominent schools. Yet if you or me go on Google and search something like Amazon hacked, eBay exploited, or Google compromised, you'll likely find an array of articles pertaining to the time they were hacked. That is, if they had to make it public information in the first place. That's a separate conversation. So the question is, how can supposedly the best people in the world protecting a company still be open to compromise. Here's why. There isn't a single person or team that knows everything there is to know about security, and there probably never will be. And here's the really sad fact that most company owners aren't told. People like me will do the best they can to secure a site, and they will then feed their superiors who don't know any better misinformation like, we are completely secure. And they do this because no one wants to hear anything else. Owners don't want to hear this, period. So when someone tells them, we are completely secure, they will usually believe it. This is not the reality, though. It's actually never been the reality. Successfully securing a company has certainly gotten better over time, but nothing will ever be so secure that absolutely no one can get in. The question isn't, are we completely secure? The question is, are we more secure than the attention will get? Big companies, like I've mentioned above, get major high-level attention, so they need the best, whatever that is. Your company gets a certain amount of attention, so you need to be more secure than that attention. I'm hoping our pen tester is just that, someone too good to waste their time with us. If they don't find anything, then it means one of two things. One, your IT staff is amazing and can do it all when no one else in the world can. We are good, but no one can know every single facet of computers, especially with security in mind, especially these days. Two, the pen tester was less than our attention. Simple. It's a really sad fact in this world. You have to put all of your faith in someone and they just lie to your face. And why do they do that? Because they think if they don't, they'll get fired. Because most company owners want someone to tell them everything is perfectly fine. I don't care who you talk to, how referenced they are, how educated, blah, blah, blah. If you ask them, are we completely secure? And they say yes, they're telling you an absolute fabrication just to save their own. IT doesn't have it much different, to be honest. We have to put our faith in protective software like firewalls, antivirus, and so on. And all we have to go on is our experience with the software, the online forums of people who use it, and the actual technical details of the software in question. We could be using the best antivirus in the world, have had the best pen test money can buy, and all it takes is some pimple-faced 15-year-old who just learned how to code in C++, write a new virus that no one has seen, and that's it. Hence one of the main reasons we have backups in the first place. Now that's the end of the email. I'll note that I wrote a little something at the end of this today. Does this sound scary? Yes. That's why you don't hear it said this way very often. When money is at play, most companies are reactive and only become proactive once they've experienced the pain of being reactive. Think big bounty programs for starters. Our turnkey approach to security is only as good as the last found vulnerability. But how much undiscovered vulnerabilities are out there? This is the question, and this is the unlocked door most IT staff won't discuss up the ladder. Now, I'm not going to go off on some tangent about this, but we don't know what's out there undiscovered. There are vulnerabilities, exploits already written for stuff that most people, and I mean like most, don't even know about. And like I said, you could have the best stuff, the best firewall, a great, maybe you got a security team, you've had pen tests, you've had audits, you've covered all your bases. Like I said, somebody could write an exploit for an unpublished vulnerability and game over. They're in. Your backups become very important at this point. Recovery becomes very important. The only way, in my opinion, that you could really say that we're completely secure at all and back it up is if you actually talk about the backup scheme. But I've seen backup schemes get sideswiped as well. There's so many different ways to set up a backup environment for any kind of, company. But if there's even one little hole in that backup environment, then that's it. And if somebody's running ransomware and they get your live data and they get your backup data, that's it. It's going to get really ugly. And then somebody has to answer for this. Companies have to go and buy cybersecurity insurance. And most of the time what I've seen is even the cybersecurity insurance writers don't even know how to write out the policy in full or know what to look for in full, because security is changing so much day to day. If any of you fill out NIST, forms, or have to answer to any auditing or have to do anything like that, then you know what I'm talking about. Again, I'm probably missing like a huge chunk to be discussed here about security. Somebody in InfoSec could fill out and pull, gaps out of what I'm saying real easily. But what I'm trying to get at is that if there's someone out there that wants in real bad and they have the technical know-how to do it, they're going to get in. That's why pen testers exist. They kind of take off their white hat for a second, throw on their black hat, and try and do their worst. And that's what we want them to do. But there's rules. They can't hurt the environment. An attacker doesn't care. They just want to get in. Okay, so but they also don't want to be seen, so they almost may not want to hurt the environment as well. Like it gets really nitty gritty at this point, and I wouldn't want to work 24/7 in security. Long time ago, I was on a security team that was a lot of fun, and we did kind of some, try to do some remote exploit stuff, mainly with like Linux tools and some underlying things. I'm not going to get too much into it because it's not as well known, but it was a lot of fun. But protecting is, you could have a whole team trying to protect and protect and protect, and you got this one person that just wants to get in and slip something in, and as soon as they get something replicating at least enough to where you can't restore, that's all it takes. And I think that this is news to a lot of company owners, to presidents of a company. I think this is news. And they just don't understand. They're relying on, the IT department. And the IT department is relying on software. And then the insurance companies are relying on, maybe an audit. And they got all these things that they think they're checking all the boxes, and they just don't realize, like, the only way that you can really combat this is what you can do after you're attacked. Because if you're big enough, you're going to get attention. And the recovery process is going to be the most key process. I did a video earlier talking about backup guys. What they talk about sounds boring. It does until you get attacked. And then it sounds really cool, especially if you get everything back, especially if you can get everything back in like that day, and then figure out however the attacker did get in, you plug that hole and move on. And I've had to be a part of that before, more than once, and it's scary. And when you're an owner and you're just relying on this stuff, these people, I can only imagine how scary that looks. So anyways, see you next time.